think we can kick things off now. So welcome everyone to our third webinar series in the ROI series. We at Tidal Commerce established this webinar series to present practical and proven growth strategies and solutions to help e-commerce merchants just like yourselves, small and large and all over the place, grow revenues and improve your profit margins. And this webinar series today, or this webinar in particular today, will be focusing on understanding the top factors limiting growth within traditional e-commerce platforms and how customer service management is helping to transform the customer center into a profit center. My name is Dennis Goria. I will be your host for today. I am the founder and partner at Tidal Commerce, and I am delighted to be joined today by two rockstar partners of ours, Erica from Gladly and Nick from Shopify Plus. Thank you both for making the time to join us today. So let's get started. The pandemic has acted as a catalyst to e-commerce sales, providing really solid tailwinds for the past 2 years. And as a result, most e-commerce merchants enjoyed unprecedented growth relative to the pre-COVID years. Now, while the US National Retail Federation forecasts solid retail and digital growth will continue in 2022, we're happy to share the research on that afterwards. The competition, emerging technologies, evolving customer expectations have all basically combined together to make it increasingly challenging for brands to attract, convert, and retain online shoppers, a reality most of you live with today. Today, brands using legacy e-commerce technologies find it almost impossible to dominate using performance marketing alone. The Facebook ad era is long gone. So fortunately, tactical solutions such as customer service management tools, i.e., today we'll be, of course, speaking with Gladly and hearing a little bit more about Gladly's solution, really enables brands to take charge of the connect to consumer era and build longer lasting and loyal relationships between the brand and the consumer. And it's become a very, very interesting space in commerce nowadays. Now, while customer service management is by no means a new topic, likely being as old as commerce itself, the notion of using the customer contact center as a profit center is a fairly relatively, I would say relatively newer way of thinking. And, potentially, how can we leverage this as merchants all on the call today? But what would you as a merchant be looking for? What is the really best in class? When we talk about best in class, does this stuff actually work, right? These are all fantastic questions. And all these questions I'll be leaving off for the experts to answer directly. Now, before I pass along the talking stick, I'd like to remind the attendees of just a couple of housekeeping items. The first would be for any queries that you may have about the topics for our experts today. Please do take advantage of the time we have with them. Ask as many questions as you have for sure. If you do have any, just please write them down in the comment in the chats. And I will be, of course, your host today, so I'll just be kind of monitoring the chats from here and there, making note of all the questions. And lastly, please do keep your microphones on mute, just out of respect for the presenters. And that being said, over to you, Erica. Here's the talking stick. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If we can move over to that first Gladly slide. There we go. Thank you so much. Well, hello and good morning and good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us today to learn a little bit more about how the contact center can be just a really key driver for growth just through that building and creating of loyalty. And again, just to piggyback off of what Dennis said, the contact center has always been a critical component of your business, but hasn't necessarily always been thought of when it comes to how you actually, drive bottom and top line revenue. So we want to talk today a little bit how you can sort of shift your mindset and how you approach the contact center and really lean more into it being this value center as opposed to this cost center. Just a little bit about Gladly. So we are a customer service platform that was founded back in 2015, and it's really a fun story because it was born out of this real need. Our CEO was moving into a new home. He was doing a lot of online shopping, and he was just running into frustration after frustration of dealing with the contact center. He was calling in to brands that didn't know who he was. They weren't able to process payment. They had no record of a previous conversation that he had. And, some of those brands lost a customer for life. And so that is something that sort of sparked a little light bulb above his head and said, there needs to be a better way. So thus came Gladly. We're really purpose-built right for commerce brands, brick and mortar, and also, digital first brands. And that's because we are built in a very different way than your traditional customer service platforms, where usually the ticket is the center of sort of like the universe. With Gladly, it's the actual customer, the person themselves. So it's sort of a new approach to a tried and true way of doing something. Something that's kind of fun about Gladly is that we are the #1 rated easiest to use platform on G2. So that is something that we're just extraordinarily proud of. We're actually ranked in the top 100 of all software from G2 for 2022. And we have 4.7 stars on Shopify, on our Shopify app listing. So another real point of pride for us. And we're working with some really phenomenal brands every day to really help them create this loyalty engine out of their contact center, the likes of which you can see right there on the bottom of your screen. So let's move to the next slide. And actually, we can jump ahead to 2 slides. So we now live in the loyalty economy. What do I mean by this? This is sort of a new way of thinking of things. Customer loyalty is going to be fundamental. It is fundamental to e-commerce brands' success, right? Why is that? If we move on to the next slide, and Dennis touched on this a little bit, but listen, there are very low barriers to create a brand today. And thankfully, that's in large part to Shopify. It's a beautiful thing that anyone can start a business. There are over 12 million brands competing for your customers' attention, and that number is only growing. That line is only going up and to the right? And it's getting harder and harder to stand out. Many brands are using the same digital storefronts, which kind of look the same, and feel the same. A lot of the products sort of, also look the same. So with this competition growing, and then you have this added component of these cookies going away and it becoming more and more expensive to actually, convert on your cost per clicks, it's just harder than ever. So you can no longer survive just on acquisition alone. I think for the most part, we know that, right? So if you want to win in this new world, you have to get loyalty right. And next slide. But listen, the way people buy has changed for good, right? Are we the same person that we were before the pandemic? I think I've aged maybe 15 years in the last 2 years. So I'm sure the way that I buy things has also changed too. But we've all changed. We have new expectations and they are changing rapidly, right? Companies or consumers really want to connect with companies who share their values. We're seeing that in the news every day of companies coming out with perspectives on things because the consumers are demanding it of them. They also have a million different channels to buy from and to interact with brands, and they expect to be met there. They want to be able to reach the company, the brand, on their channel of choice. And also employees are an extension of your brand. I think the employee experience along with the customer experience has become equally important. And certainly consumers care about the way companies treat their employees as well. So what does this all mean? Loyalty has become essential, but it's also getting harder than ever to do it right. When your consumers are so discerning and they have such high expectations, and there is this boom in channels in which they want to be able to interact with you, you have to be able to get it right in a million different moments. Let's go to the next slide. But here's the thing. It's actually tougher than baseball. In baseball, you get 3 strikes, you're out. When it comes to customer experience, you get two experiences. 2 bad services are enough to lose a customer for life. This is actually something that we found in our research that will be coming out here shortly. That's it. If a customer has 2 bad interactions with your brand, they are no longer going to shop with you. It's got to make your little hairs on your arm stand up a little straight, right? And not only that, but they're also going to share their experience, right? They're going to tell their friends, they're going to tell their family, they're going to maybe post a review somewhere. So the stakes couldn't be higher when it comes to that experience that customer is going to have with their brand when you're talking about, really nurturing that and maximizing that lifetime value of each customer. And the next slide. And, here's what we do know, and the research backs us up. Great service drives loyalty. I mean, it's no wonder why there's such a huge investment being made in customer experience, the contact center being a huge part of that. 76% of consumers will stick with the brand when they feel appreciated, when they just feel valued, right? They're going to come back. It also drives more revenue, right? 80% will spend more with that brand. And like I just said, when things don't go so great, they're going to tell their friends and family. But when they do go great, 87% are going to share that experience with their friends and family. So not only are they going to become loyal, they're going to spend more, and they're going to become advocates for your brand. That's what loyalty looks like. But like I said, it's getting harder. And, a lot of folks, it's because you haven't been given technology that you need to be able to battle these headwinds, right, in this new loyalty first world. And that is for a few reasons. Again, a lot of this legacy technology is designed around the ticket. So you can't have any way to treat your customers like the actual people that they are. You treat them like a case number, right? Like a box that needs to be checked off if everything is just around this ticket. And it also causes duplication. Your agent is looking through multiple tickets. They can't find anything. They don't know, how to solve the issue that is in front of them. There's all this omni-channel world, but that means that all of these different channels have kind of been brought together and they're not syncing, right? They're disconnected, they're fractured, they're bolted on, almost like a Frankenstein platform. They're not talking to each other. So it's a very choppy experience for both the agent and for the customer. And thirdly, you're getting this siloed view, right? You're not getting all the information you need on the customer. Again, maybe the tickets are in 5 different places, right? You don't have this timeline, this in chronological order of everything that customer has told a representative from your brand. So how in the world could that agent possibly know how to help them? So what does this mean? And we've all been on the receiving end of a poor customer experience, right? The agent doesn't know anything about you. You have to repeat yourself over and over again. The issue doesn't get resolved, right? Maybe they have to log into a different system. That system is freezing, or they can't get in, or, there's nothing more frustrating. And then because of all of these issues and these challenges, then you're just put on hold for the longest time and you have to listen to terrible music and you kind of want to go out of your mind, right? There's a better way. And all of these types of experiences is what is risking that customer and their loyalty. So, it's not all doom and gloom, right? Like it could be hard, but it doesn't have to be. So in this new world, if we can go to the next slide, please, slide 14. So in this legacy era, right, what are we talking about? Well, for each interaction, each channel, a different ticket was created. You have a ticket for that phone call, you have a ticket for the chat, you have a ticket for the email. They're all sort of kind of living separately from one another. In this new world that's going to support this loyalty economy, you should have that seamless, natural conversation across all channels in one place. So imagine you're on the phone and they send a text and an email. That can all happen simultaneously at the same time, and it all gets put into one place. You also have to measure success a little bit differently, right? In the old world, let's call it, you're really focused on this first call resolution. How quickly were you able to resolve that problem? And you check it off and it's sort of like one and done. You don't really think about it again, right? That's sort of like short-term thinking. Instead, in this new world, we're thinking more about like this customer lifetime value, right? Their customer satisfaction, their CSAT score, their net promoter score, because you were able to resolve quickly their issue, because, the average handle time has been decreased, or you were able to get to them quicker. All of that is going to provide just a much better experience that, again, is going to have them come back again and again. And finally, just this idea of first in, first out, right? It's just like whoever gets in line first is going to get helped first. that kind of feels more like a DMV in a lot of ways, right? Instead, in this new world where you really want to make sure you're taking care of people in the way that they need, it's dynamically matching each customer to the agent based on the urgency of their situation, based on perhaps how loyal they've been and how, if you want to say like a VIP customer, or they have just special needs, to actually put them in touch with the agent who maybe has a specific skill or specific experience, or can help them in the most
Erica, I think you're on mute accidentally. You must have.
long have I been on mute for?
Oh, there you go.
Not long.
Just 5 seconds or so.
Oh, I have no idea. Okay. I'm like, don't tell me that it was like for 10 minutes.
No, I would.
I'm sorry, where did I leave off?
Just on the first in, first out, not a DMV.
Okay, perfect. That was not that long ago. You're not a DMV. Instead, imagine this new world where you're not taking care of each customer based on, who was there first, but based on what their individual specific need is, based on urgency, based on who they are, based on their history with you, and then dynamically routing them, matching them to the agent who is best equipped to help them based on their skill set or their experience. And then all of a sudden you have the right agent speaking with the right customer at the right time to really create this deeper, more personal connection that, again, is going to create just a better experience. All right. So let's talk about how we can actually do this, right? What is the how to? Number one, it's just the idea of making your customers the center of gravity. They should be the center of your world, right? So if you think about like all these different types of software out there, they all have something that is just their center. Everything is built around this one item. So like in an HR system, call it like Workday, it's all about the employee, right? In Google Docs, it's all about the document. For Slack, it's all about the channel. Well, when it comes to customer service in the contact center, for far too long, the center of the gravity has been the ticket. So let's think of something totally radical and instead put the customer actually in the center. When you put the customer in the center of gravity, what is the seismic shift that happens? Well, first of all, right, kind of what we just talked about, you can all of a sudden match them to the right agent. You can see their entire conversation, right, across one lifelong conversation, one timeline. So you know exactly, what their needs were, why they contacted you, but you also have all this information available at your fingertips of who they are, what their history is. So you have like historical details, but you also have context. And when you put those two things together, the agent is able to help them and provide, just a really good experience for them from the get-go. That's what happens when you do away with tickets and instead you just focus on the person themselves. So let's talk a little bit more about that lifelong conversation. When you're able to actually engage in this lifelong channel independent conversation. So we're no longer relying on this idea of omni-channel, right? We hear a lot about omni-channel, but like, what does that really mean when we say that? Sure, you think about it as all the channels are in one place, but most of the time that means the channels are still siloed. Like maybe they're one platform, but they're not necessarily speaking with each other, right? They were bolted on. Maybe they're being powered by different platforms. They have to be integrated. Maybe they're not integrated all that well. So it still causes a very fragmented experience where you are creating different tickets, or you have to log into a different system just to see what was happening, in that one channel. So instead of that, you want to have this all channels built out of the box in one place where, again, you can just move seamlessly from one channel to another. And that way, again, you're engaging in this conversation that feels completely natural and doesn't feel transactional. And then you want to personalize self-service, right? If you can imagine this world where, for the most part, customers can find the information that they need without even having to contact somebody. And I know this is where the world is going, right? But how can you do it in a really thoughtful way that, again, doesn't feel transactional, but instead still feels like you're getting the personalized attention that you need? So, from the first thing that you can do is you want to make sure customers can get answers to the questions that maybe from any page of your website, right? Also a good idea to have a dedicated help center FAQ on your page. That's just for like the most commonly asked questions. Make it really easy and make it really, easy to consume, like all the questions, folks are going to ask again and again, so they don't have to reach out to an agent to find that information. Then you want to take it a step further, and you could actually personalize some of those self-service conversations based on the data that you may already have on that customer. So just depending on what platform you're using and what apps you've been able to integrate with, you know a lot about that person. So perhaps they can do things, like being able to surface an order, the status of their order, right? Being able to process their return, being able to reset their password. So it's going beyond like just finding out, what your return policy is, and actually being able to take action on their own, making them completely self-sufficient and satisfied. But you can also, really wow them and take it a step further if you can automate the next step from the conversation, right? So like after an order change, you can automatically send like a confirmation email or a text message. So again, like the conversation gets, completely closed without you ever having to interact personally with that customer. But of course, if they do need to actually contact someone, all of that information from that self-service experience should be in that customer profile, in that timeline. So the agent has the full context of exactly why they were, chatting with the bot, entering a question to the chat to begin with. It's all there in one place. That's really what we mean by personalized self-service. And, you never want to take, automation is phenomenal, but you don't want to take the personal away from that. So it's just really helpful when you have something like this that does feel seamless, does feel personal, and then it frees up your agents to really focus on maybe some more complicated issues or things that really require more of a hand-holding type of service. And last but not least, just make it really simple. It should be simple. All of this should be simple. It should not be hard. It should be easy for your agents. It should be easy for your customers. So, your agents are the lifeblood of your business, right? And sometimes they, you need to ramp up for the holidays, and so you have to get them up and running really quickly. Sometimes there is turnover, right? We know that in the contact center. So by giving them access to the tools that they need to make the customer wildly happy and satisfied in a way that is easy to learn, easy to use, really intuitive. I mean, that is so key, so they can get ramped up quickly, but also just feel really empowered that they can deliver this great experience. And then from the customer, obviously, that's going to translate in their interaction, in their conversation that they're having with that agent, because their answers are getting, their questions are being answered right away. They're getting their issue resolved right away. And maybe they're even, developing this connection with the agent almost, just really naturally and seamlessly because it was made that easy for them. And I just want to say, we know that this new approach works because the proof is really in the pudding. So I wanted to highlight some metrics that we're seeing, with our Gladly customers. Well, first of all, I should say, so for us, agents are support heroes. They are absolute heroes in what they do. So, we call them heroes. That's what they are. And we're seeing them become more efficient by 20 to 40% when they're on the Gladly platform. We're able to have less duplicate ticket duplication by 11 to 35%. There's a 20% savings in licensing fees and TCOs, a 10 to 15% increase in the customer satisfaction score. And hey, what we're all here to talk about today, they're actually seeing 10 to 20% increase in revenue from service as well. So with that, I want to say thank you for listening. And I do want to pass it on to Nick from Shopify, who's actually going to share a few stories of our joint customers. So thank you.
Incredible, Erica. Awesome job. Thank you so much for passing the talking stick. And hello to everybody. Super excited to be here and talking with you today. I'm a senior merchant success manager here at Shopify Plus, and so I'm in this really fortunate position where I get to work with some of our largest and our fastest growing merchants on their strategy. And no doubt, loyalty and customer support and providing that really best in class experience is something that's coming up a lot in conversations. And so at Shopify, we're lucky. We have millions of merchants. We have access to so much data, and so we use that to create a Future of Commerce 2022 report. And that was just to help provide some trends and help share with you and with merchants what's coming, what are going to be some key themes. And so if we move on to the next slide, we'll see that loyalty actually played a really big part here. So we saw that 52% of consumers are more likely to purchase from a company with shared values. Erica talked a bit about that in her presentation. So it's really important that brands have a stance and have an opinion and are loud and proud about their values. Today, we're seeing that 53% of brands are creating products in 2022 that align with their values. And so an example of that is Patagonia. They're very environmental friendly, and they have a couple different unique programs. They have a worn wear program where they encourage their customers to buy and sell used items. And they also have a drive less program. So that is their employees are getting rewards for actually reducing their emissions when it comes to commuting for work. So two examples of how some brands are really creating programs that are aligned with their brand values. And then why is that important? Because we see that 57% of consumers say the ability to easily reach customer service in the channel of their choice is going to influence their decision to purchase. And so it's just really important, like as Erica mentioned, that you're meeting your customers where they are and that you're making it easy to interact with your team and provide that experience and the help that they need. So I want to just talk about a couple of specific examples for some Shopify Plus merchants that have been partnered with Gladly. So if we go over the next one, we'll talk a little bit about Andy Swim, really, really cool brand. They are all about creating classic styles and colors for women's swimsuits. And a really important thing for them is to help promote, confidence and comfort for their customers. It can be a bit of a nerve-wracking experience trying on swimwear, and so they really pride their team, which they call fit experts, on providing that sort of that empathetic, that really comfortable experience. But for a company whose brand is aligned on that, their experience with their customer support and the platform that they were using from a technical standpoint was really anything but. Prior to working with Gladly, what they had was some of the customers were getting kind of cold emails and texts that had the wrong sizes for product recommendations. And they had, folks calling and asking for help and having to sort of repeat their size and their personal information and their story. And their founder, Melanie, actually said, this is one of our top priorities. Like, we need to get our tooling and our customer support experience aligned with our brand. And so they chose Gladly to do that. They worked with Gladly, and by using their integrated customer timeline, they now knew that everything from a customer's sizes, their order history. And so they even had customers calling in saying, hey, when I reached out to help now, they already know my name. It was like much more of that personal, comfortable experience that they're aligning for, they were aiming for. And, given some of those dynamic matching that Erica talked about, customers were kind of given a ticket and routed to sort of an impersonal platform. They were really getting connected with the right fit expert at the right time to quickly resolve their issues. And that was big when COVID kicked off as well, because they definitely saw some volume increases that they were able to really just navigate seamlessly. And so it's been a great fit for them working with Gladly. And they also got a chance to leverage the self-service channel. As with, often a lot of customer support teams, there's goals and business objectives to meet around volume of support tickets. And so from an outcome standpoint, they were able to see a 35% drop in their average wait time, which, if you think about that from a business standpoint, that means that you're getting to customers quicker, That means it costs less. You may need to hire less reps. So it was very beneficial for them. And they saw 50% drop in order to contact ratio. I think there's a saying that is the best customer support ticket is one that doesn't happen. And so it was a huge success for them in their partnership. Secondly, let's talk a little bit about Rothy's, another really, really cool brand on Shopify Plus. They've been growing at hyperscale. And for them and their products, the focus is really on comfort, lightness, ease of use. And while they got that from their products and their brand, again, they weren't getting that from their customer support platform. They were using a legacy system. They had different providers for different channels like chat, email, and phone. And it was really just providing a really poor experience. It wasn't comfortable for the customers reaching in. It wasn't easy. And their agents were also getting confused and frustrated as well. So what they did is they decided to work with Gladly. They took advantage of the Shopify integration, and immediately they added chat, social, and self-service support channels to really just integrate with Shopify and really take advantage of that, not only that channel support, but that integrated timeline. And it was a huge benefit to them. They immediately started to see improving in first response time. They had much more easy facilitation of things like canceling orders, getting order numbers right away. And they also were able to benefit from these sort of improved workflows and scalability as they saw a huge bump when COVID came, and more sales, which meant more support volume. And they were able to have their remote workforce really just firing on all cylinders, powered by Gladly. So again, a really great example of how you can increase agent efficiency through their partnership. And so that's just like having key context, right? That customer's past order details, their full conversation history, everything all in one place means easier for customers, faster for customers. They got clear insights. And so having that cross-channel view of not only reporting, but topics and themes made it easier for their team to identify, hey, what's really affecting our customers right now? How can we get a bit more proactive about creating an awesome experience? And then they eliminated agent collision too, which means more of that dynamic matching, more of getting the right customer to the right rep at the right time, and just again making it super easy for the customers. Last but not least, let's just talk quickly about Allbirds. Probably one of our largest and most popular brands on Shopify Plus. They are all about sustainability, and they obsess over the customer experience. That is everything from every little detail to their product, to their storefront, and of course to their customer support experiences as well. And so they are omni-channel through and through. They have retail locations, and they needed a partner that was going to be able to support those omni-channel needs that they have. And so it was obvious for them to choose Gladly. A good part of their business involves live chat from a customer support standpoint. And so they were able to work with Gladly to send out chat payments to customers who were asking questions and wanted to place orders over chat. Usual industry rate conversion for chat payments is 2.5%. Working with Gladly, they saw 10% conversion rate for chat payments, which was just huge. We talk about the sort of loyalty as a revenue driver and bottom line, and I think that just speaks for itself. And so, yeah, a great partnership and a success story, no doubt.
Brilliant. I mean, both of you, Erica, Nick, thank you both again so much. So many golden nuggets. I think we both, at least I can speak for myself, that I've obtained out of this webinar today. Now, there are a few questions that we have noted down, so I'll go around, and I think, whether it's yourself, Erica, Nick, or even if you want to toss the question to myself, we've been working with Gladly for a while now, so it feels like we all know the product so well. So let me start with the first one that I think is fairly prevalent, fairly topical for most entrepreneurs on the call here today, or most merchants on the call here today. So the first one is, I think we're all pretty concerned about the economy these days. How can the contact center help brands negate any negative impacts of an economic downturn? Who wants to take that question?
I can take a stab because I think we're all feeling, a little nervous these days, and we're not quite sure what the next few months are going to bring. And we all want to be, optimistic, but also, I guess I should say, cautiously optimistic. A few things, a lot of things that we spoke about today, how to provide, that really personalized, specialized customer service. That's going to become more important than ever. You're really going to have to really nurture and care for the customers that you do have. So when things do get hard, they will think of you first when obviously a purchase needs to be made. So treating your customers like people and not transactions is absolutely going to be key. But then you're also going to want to look at ways that you can save on costs, right? Every dollar is really going to count if you want to continue to grow and sort of navigate these choppy waters. So, when you bring on a platform like Gladly, where all of our channels are natively built in, and you no longer have the need to bring on, third-party platforms to build that together, well, you're going to save costs on there. And then also, when you make the technology so easy to use, right, you get folks wrapped up right away. Onboarding is quick, implementation is quick, they're up and running quick. That all represents cost savings as well. And then there was a third point that, of course, now I can't think of, but making kind of like the Allbirds point right here, making chat payments really easy and seamless. So you're able to actually collect, revenue from the contact center, making it really easy for folks to pay on the channels where they are is going to be super, super critical. And then, of course, just having that self-service in place. And so you're able to reduce to, case volume, call volume, all of that will decrease. That lends itself to cost savings, and all of your agents are really able to focus on what matters the most, and that will help you keep, everything else in line as well. So, we're all gonna just ride the wave together, right?
Yeah, and something you said there, Erica, I think is very insightful. Made me think of another example of a few of our clients as well. And that absolutely Gladly will help provide the organization or any customer service management tool, right? I mean, obviously some are better than others. We prefer to use Gladly, but at the end of the day, there's also this interesting kind of subset of chatbots that are now being used to elevate and augment existing customer service teams, right? And we see this quite often where, customers of ours are using Gladly, super, super happy with it. But the cost for them is the human cost, right? It's actually having the end person answer out, queries and, respond and engage with customers, which of course, there's ways of triaging that, making it a lot more affordable. But one of the beauties of chatbots is being able to automate it, right? Using actual bots. And I love the way that Gladly integrates directly into systems like Ada and other chatbot systems of that nature, because it's really like the technology is incredible. So that being said, I got couple more here. I'll read this one out and we can decide who this one goes to. How can we help agents make this shift in mindset from seeing and treating customers as transactions instead of treating them instead like people? This speaks to, I think, the ethos of what you guys stand for at Gladly, right, Erica? So do you want to take a stab at this one too?
Yeah, I think customer service for so long was really seen as transactional. And I think a lot about a story that Nordstrom shared at our last conference. And I don't know if I have any Nordstrom shoppers here, but you go into a Nordstrom and you just know when you make a purchase, that salesperson is going to walk around the counter and they're going to hand you that bag, right? And it is such a nuanced little detail, but it happens, and it's just like it's filled with just grace and appreciation. You feel like your business is really valued there, and you really feel like you're not a transaction, that you're a person. And so it's how do you bring that same level of personalization and connection, right, to your digital channels and to your customer service. So again, it's making sure that, first of all, you're bringing on agents who really care deeply about other people. So it's, you have to really explain to them and communicate with them. This role is not something where you're just checking off the boxes and you're just trying to get through, as many tickets as possible. And you're just, the fastest you can resolve the issue is the metric that you're going to be judged off of. You're really looking for folks who care about people, have a passion for, helping others, and are really buying into this idea of the customer experience. And of course, to do that well, you also have to give a very good agent, employee experience, because of course you can't have great CX without EX. And then you have to, if you've had folks who've been with you for a long time, and there is going to be this shift, right? Because you want to be able to adapt to this new loyalty economy. It's really showing them the value of what it feels like and what it looks like when you take care of that customer. I mean, I think we can all agree that when you're helping somebody, no matter if it's in your personal life or your professional life, it just feels really good. It feels good to be able to connect with someone on the other line in a way that makes you feel like you know them just a little bit, and they're not just a case number, they're not just a ticket, they're a human being whose day you were able to make a little bit better. It's just a great feeling, and I do think that is something that every person, whether in the contact center or anywhere else, can really get behind.
It's very, very insightful. Thank you, Erica. One thought that comes to mind as well, just because we see so many merchants asking the same questions, right? It's really a people problem at the end of the day. It's human change management, right, at the core of it. And their platform certainly has a lot to play into it, but fundamentally it's the leadership, and it comes from the top, right? If the leadership is so focused on transactions, sales, let's make another dime, let's save another dollar, I think that mentality very, very rarely actually see itself be implemented successfully. Of course, unless the customer success team is totally siloed and lives on their own island, and that's their ethos that they live and breathe as heroes, fantastic. But certainly something that I would encourage all the merchants on the call today, just really to I guess promote internally the fact that it's not a transactional business. We're in the customer business, right? We're in the product and customer business. We're here to make our customers happy and innovate with very unique products.
Yeah, and so kind of that shift, right? Sorry, it's just that shift, right, from that first call resolution to more of that customer satisfaction, right? Net promoter score. Like all of a sudden you're sort of being measured off of metrics that maybe you didn't really think touched your department. But that is the ultimate, sign of how well things are going. And then just giving opportunities for coaching, right? There's so many platforms out there as well that we integrate with, like Stella from Medallia, that, can help each agent really feel more empowered to do a better job. And then they'll go home every day feeling pretty good about themselves.
Absolutely. So while I read out this last question here, I want to give everyone just another opportunity, just as I'm reading it out as we're getting to the last question. If there's any more questions, especially about the, some of the case examples here shared by Nick and Erica, please do feel free just to put your questions in the chat, or anything else customer service related. It's a very, very deep topic, so I'm sure there's many different ways we can help. So I'll go on this last question, and then we'll wrap it up. So can you share exactly how Gladly integrates with Shopify? And just another addition to this would be, what about other systems like Klaviyo's of the world, the ADAs, my loyalty programs? What does that question go to? Is it Nick or Erica?
I'm happy to take a stab, Nick, if that's okay.
Go for it.
I don't want to answer all the questions, but we're so invested and committed to really having a very substantial, in-depth integration with Shopify. We were purpose-built, like I said, for commerce, for digital retailers. Shopify is such an important partner for us, and we continue to improve and invest in that integration. So we're constantly releasing new things that Shopify merchants can do, all within the Gladly platform. So, just as an example, creating discount codes for customers, refunding, editing orders, canceling orders, adding those tags, updating those order notes. You can do that all without ever having to leave Gladly. We're giving agents a complete view of the customer via all their Shopify fields right there in the customer profile. So you can see things like the payment breakdown, shipping information, order details. That's all going to be right there. And then, even on a level, beyond that, is using all of that Shopify data that we're able to collect and have it power some more of those advanced features like people matching, right? Being able to route customers to the right agent based on what we know about them, or using it for self-service, right? Processing a refund or return, so on and so forth, using that data from Shopify just throughout the entire, platform, and then providing some really good, insights so you understand, how the business is going, where you can make improvements, so on and so forth. And like I said, we have a really committed team on our partnership team and our engineering team to constantly look at how we can continue to improve. And that, and again, we're so thrilled to see that we have these great reviews on our Shopify app listing. A 4.7 is amazing. Our customers, really seem to be able to really optimize the power of the platform, and they're seeing real results, and that's great. And just beyond that, we have a really fantastic ecosystem of Shopify partners like Klaviyo, Yotpo. We're actually about to launch very shortly. Really, all of the key players to make sure that everything that you want to be able to accomplish for your business can be brought into the contact center in Ada. And yeah, if you want more information, I certainly welcome you to go onto, I know we're running up against the clock here, to gladly.com, and you can see all of our partners. And it just continues to evolve and to grow, and we're so delighted to be integrating with so many key apps that, again, really make for a more seamless experience for agents and customers alike.
I can speak to that firsthand. I mean, working with the Gladly team and our team working with the Gladly team extensively, even if an integration is not possible, it's like these guys go above and beyond to find ways to make it happen. I've seen some pretty complex systems, as well as just the fact that there's an open API and things are so flexible, right? Which is really showcasing best in class from that perspective. So again, just want to thank both Erica and Nick. Thank you both for making the time for the group here. We're elated to have such a great turnout. In terms of any questions after today's session, of course, we will be sharing a recording of the session with everyone. But please don't hesitate to reach out to either myself, Nick, or Erica. We will provide all the information over the follow-up emails. And I hope everyone has a fantastic rest of their week. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Thanks all. Have a great one.
Thank you so much.
Thanks all. Have a great one.